Hello, man. Hello, Mgtows. How y'all doing today? Let me see how my sound is before we start this, and then. Hello, man. Oh, hello, Mgtows. That sounds pretty good. There we go. Let's bring back up my pretty face here so I can see how everything's working. Hello, MH. Mgtow HD. Hello, Mgtow HD. Hello, Cicely. Cicely. Yeah. I just decided to come on. I just got in. I was cutting the grass today, and I did cut the grass. That's my buddy came over and hello, Ken. My buddy came over and started bitching at me about the grass. So I went outside today and actually cut it, and it was painstaking because I didn't want to do it. I just didn't want to do it because the city says you have to cut it, and I think that's the stupidest thing in the whole world. The city regulating your life like that, and but then you have to buy lawn care products, gasoline, lawnmowers, all that stuff, and that adds to the economy. I suppose it does and everything, but I wasn't happy. It was hot. It was like 1,000 degrees out there and everything. So I just wanted to come on and say hello to everybody and everything. And the topic today is it's just kind of carefree topic, and is Me Too finally crumbling? Yeah. I was looking on Twitter today, and usually I don't hang around on Twitter, but I was looking on Twitter, and I watch Grizz and all the Mgtow guys, and hey Chewy, and Grizz was pretty funny, and he's always a blast to watch, and there was all the other guys and everything, but I do kind of keep an eye on what the feminists are doing on Twitter, and Jessica Valenti and Amanda Marcotte. Did you guys watch that? That it's a horror show on Twitter. They must get up in the morning and start twittering, and then they fall asleep and they pass out in their chair and stop twittering. it's just a horror show. And one of the stories today was out in the Me Too movement was, let me put it up, and there's two things that happened today, and there's finally getting some backlash in the media, and the New York Times, and some of the actors, and a lot of people, they're just starting to do the eye raising thing, going, this has gone a little bit too far. And people are, I was surprised, and I'm kind of shocked that it took actually that long for people to start waking up and going, this is just horrible. This is horrible. But let me screen share, and we'll go through the articles, and we'll talk about them and everything. I don't Twitter or do Facebook. Me too. Yeah. But all this week I've there's a infinity screen. So I just kind of typed, and I hope you can see that. Let me see if you can see that. Yeah, you can see that. I don't know how it's showing up to you on the other end, if it's showing up fine or not. This is just the Me Too movement. New York Times had a lot today. Sean Penn came out today, and I haven't read this one. And Sean Penn calls Me Too movement a receptacle for salaciousness. I think they should have said salaciousness, but I have to check that salacious. And Sean Penn, the spirit of the Me Too divides men and women, and Me Too movement hits McDonald's. How can the Me Too movement hit McDonald's? Oh man, yeah. So the New York Times had a lot to say today about the Me Too mood. Let's see. Me Too movement, gymnast, Me Too movement inspired reckoning, Me Too. What's next? It's moving into the what's next movement, the Me Too movement, navigating sex in gray zones. But the article I was looking for, let me go to Twitter here and see if I can find that article. Well, I don't need to find it. We'll just talk about it like a dog. And we're not going to talk about the New York Times. The New York Times out today came out, and I'm going to stop sharing now. And there's my Twitter, and there's oh God, she just keeps going. Jessica Valenti and Amanda Marcotte. Jessica Valenti, Amanda Marcotte. Jessica Valenti, Amanda Marcotte. All day long. So to get that kind of response out of a feminist. it is just, man, it was thousands. I think they have like thousands and thousands. Let me stop sharing this. This is non-interesting. They get that response out of Jessica Vendlane, and you must have really, really did something to offend them. And along with all the bad press in New York Times, and a lot of people are starting to wake up now. And Mgtow has always been waking up to this. Just, them are just false accusations, and it's going to get worse. And the Metoo movement is going to move into the what next movement, where they're starting to ask for donations for lawyers and that's what that was about. The McDonald's. They're now that the Metoo movement has some cash, some green to work with. They're going to start going after McDonald's employees. They're going to start going after everybody, and that's what the New York Times was pretty much saying. Hey, this is a danger to all men, and all men can get accused, and that's what I was saying months and months ago. But I think people are starting. And then there's that actor that that actor over there in England where they all have to live in the house, and I can't remember her name. And Asia Argento is suing Rose McGowan, which is just funny. So they're starting to eat themselves. The Ouroboros, is coming back to eat its tail, and it's a good thing. But I hope that. But what I could really expect out of it, there's going to be one more huge final push by Metoo. They're just going to accuse everybody, like me and you, and you just hide in your house because you just be walking down the street, and they're going to just start, you're a rapist and you're a pedophile. They'll start accusing everybody, and just to make that one final push into the abyss of human memory, and this will go on for long enough. Hello, Nino. Hello, Soygi Steel Clayman. That's a hard name to pronounce, but hello, everybody. Vipers eat us up, cannibals, modern women. Yeah. It's going to eventually eat us up, because when have you ever seen a company that was formed by all women succeed? I mean, we used to do. What was a couple companies? There was a couple companies out there that were that we used to just like, no, that's not going to work. The medical company that was started by it just closed too, and it's like, oh man, they can't get along. It won't be too long before they start nipping at each other and everything, and it's the formation of how they do things in those groups. And I was looking at that a little bit today. I wanted to read a book, and so I started reading. What was it? I started reading. Let me go and see what the name of that book was, and I know what it was and everything, but I just wanted to get my notes in front of me, and so I started reading about authoritarianism, and sometimes we in Mgtow we do this thing where we do the round table. We're like, okay, we're going to do a round table, and there's going to be no authoritarian presence at that round table. Now, when we look at female business, is that what they do? I'm pretty well briefed on feminist politics, and it's there's some articles out there if you want. It's a Morte d'Arthur, which is King Arthur, in the book of King Arthur, and the Morte d'Arthur, and how females perceive that sort of round table-ish thing with the Morte d'Arthur. And it's great to read those books because it's written in 1485, and it was written by Sir Thomas Malory. Sir Thomas Malory was hugely, he was an immoral person. Just to say, he's arrested twice and imprisoned twice for thievery and twice for rape, and then I'm pretty sure he just stole everything. There was 540 pages of Morte d'Arthur, which is the original reading of King Arthur. But in there comes an idea of the round table, and we look at how immoral Sir Thomas Mallory was, and it was like a PUA, like, and at the end there was Tristan and Isolde, I think it was, and then the downfall of King Arthur because Guinevere couldn't, she couldn't keep her dress up, keep her dress down for the men, and Sir Lancelot started tapping that, and then the book before that was so it was a pretty much an indictment of female character and hypergamy and all those things, and we look at that. But one of the main themes is that was a non-authoritarian roundtable, and I hear this a lot from feminists that we all get together, and that's how these companies were. There's no one person in charge. They sit down and then they start arguing between them with these female companies, and there's no one patriarchal figure or authoritarian figure that says no, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to listen to you. We're going to do the right thing. I'm going to take in all this input, and then I've been doing this a long time. I'm a male. I'll make a good decision, and that's where the company is going to go. And that's usually how male companies work. We don't work with a round table. We work on merit, and if you're at the top and you've earned that spot at the top, then you pretty much earn that spot, and that's it. There's no arguing with that. There's no arguing with your boss. And what am I looking for here? Oh yeah, okay, yeah. I was looking for a document as we go on with this thing, but as I look at that, females have this. If you can look back in the origins of femininity, feministity. I love saying that like that. The origins of feministity, and you can look back at there's a few even I think Joseph Valente wrote about the early writings of Arthurian legends in the Middle Ages in the 20th century back in 14, and it pretty much started with their naked lady riding a horse through the town of whatever town that was, and then they bring it up to the Arthurian. But they always look at it like the patriarchy, something to patriarchy. And if you're looking for a book that was basically just a bad interpretation of how men really act. I mean, King Arthur and all that stuff, and the Morte d'Arthur, or whatever they call himself. Mallory wrote it, and it's basically stolen from Celtic legends and French romance novels. And nobody really knows whether it's true or not, but the women look at that and they go, oh, they're always looking for this like neo-paganism and female, sort of spirituality. And what was Guinevere? Well, she was a cheating wife at that point. And Tristan and Isolde was, I think that's how you pronounce her name, was a cheating other. And it just came down to like the PUA look is just want to, we'll just tap the married girls too. And so that's what I just started thinking about how Me Too would work today. And from feminist policies and everything, if you go through the feminist care policies to how they expect to run their corporations and all, you read all that stuff. And I know it's painful reading. It really is really painful reading. Who do we got in the house today there now? It's really painful reading when you're going through those documents. But I suggest that all men do it. Hello, John Mgtow. Get a woman for God's sake. Get a woman for God's sakes. No, I don't think that's going to happen. Oh yeah, we got an incel troll. Look at the face on that guy. God, that guy is. Hello, Magnus, and hello everybody that's joining us today. But yeah, the Me Too movement is failing, and it's going to fail from any structure. Any kind of corporate structure is just doomed. It's just doomed by the way they run things. They run that round table thing where everybody just kind of talks things out, and that becomes like a yelling contest, and it has a lot to do with white knighting and chivalry and everything. And I know it's appealing. They have these men killing themselves for the princess and the bride and all that stuff. But for them, but yeah, that whole idea of a round table just bothers me. Every time I hear someone say, we're just going to have a round table talk, and I'm going to say, well, that's going to be great. I mean, are we going to share our feelings? Yeah, we're going to share our feelings. It's like one of those cognitive therapy social groups where you sit around and you share. Which you can imagine I'm just not very good at. I'm just not good at sharing my feelings. I'm the take by the bull by the horns kind of guy. Let's go forward on this thing. Let's hear some good ideas, and then we'll just make a decision and we'll do that, because that's what men do. We just go forward on it, we push it through, and we do it. But yeah, me too. There's no one really running there. There's no one there's no one guiding that rudder. There's no one taking it forward. That ship, that Me Too ship's just any way the wind blows, that's where they're gonna go. But we can see the devastating effects of it lately, and there are a lot of people that's coming out now, and I think a lot of the Hollywood elite that haven't been accused or molested by Me Too yet will come out. Oh, look at that. It's Eli Mellis in the house. Coach. Hey, Coach. If that's the real, you guys really need some essential oils. That's got to be a fake. That's got to be a fake. But it's funny. It's funny. It is really funny. And that's great. But the Me Too movement seems to be struggling. Like I said, Asia Argento is she's suing Rose McGowan. The two original accusers of Hollywood, they're suing each other, and they're fighting over the money. The Erebos is eating itself again, and some of the news outlets are starting to come aboard and say this shit is just crazy. And I think it was that thing over there in England, that Big Brother, where that woman accused that the guy was shadow boxing around her, and he was like, because they didn't show the clip. They cut the clip and then they spliced it in, but they didn't show the clip of what she said. She was going to snap him with the towel or something, or he said, "What are you going to do with that towel?" And she said something, and then he started dancing around, and so she provoked it by intimidating him with the towel, and then it came out, and I think at that point the whole world, she started going, "Oh, he hit me. He's a woman beater," and everything, expecting that would get him off the show, and she would win. But he eventually won, and I was glad to see that. And the show somehow rewarded him for winning that Big Brother show. And let me see who's in the cucked one. The cuckery is stuck. And yeah, that I don't think that's Eli. And hello, pretentious hermit. How are you? The only oil I need is 10W30. Yeah, always use 10W30. 10W. That's what Henry Ford said. Or SEA30. SEA30 is probably the best oil you can get for your car, regardless. But but that's my beliefs. I was an oil and lubrication specialist for Mobil Oil for years, and yeah, I read all those briefs by Henry Ford on which lubrication to use. Hello, Ricky D. Lanchos. Trim will need a doctor. No, I haven't seen Trim around here today yet. So thanks to that, guys, for coming around and just listening to me blabber. And I thought it was time. I took almost all last week off, and I've been trying not to do these things for a little bit so I can get my head straight. It's fall. It's football season. Things are happening. There's Oktoberfest beer everywhere, and there's festivals, and there's clam bakes, and there's all sorts of nice things happening around. And it's just hard to sit down and have some time to do these things in the fall for me. But I like to do it, and I'll get back on track here soon. Winter's coming. I know winter's coming, and And we're all going to have to deal with that again. I hope that I was going to get a steady workout regimen for winter. Trim. Oh, there's Trim Hits. Hello, Trim Hits. I didn't see you there in the in the chat, but so hello everybody that's in today, and that's great. We were talking about the. Are you guys feeling it? I don't know if you guys are feeling it as much as I am, but I think Me Too is about the crumble horribly now, and there's going to be some backlash and some people looking up and some eyebrows raising and going, what we really have to deal with is all these false accusations, and now we have to do the government and all the police and this community, the community people, and all those things are going to have to deal with the paperwork of 20 million false accusations. Which is ridiculous. I don't know how many false accusations. I would like to get those stats if anybody kind of knows that one offhand. Hello, Mgtow. Where how many accusations have been made in YouTube and Me Too's name so far? They haven't accused Sean Penn, obviously, or did they? Or did they? But Sean Penn came out today, and this is just salacious garbage. He always kind of chimes in at the end of something, and when he sees it's about overage, you can expect Tom Petty and Sean Penn to chime in on it, and that seems to be the way things work in the Hollywood atmosphere. Mr. Burns would win because Eli lost his Smithers. Eli's gone, and that was always fun to watch, and just kind of say, just kind of laugh and joke about that. But Eli, yeah, let's talk about that. Let's talk about Eli and how he kind of did a service to Mgtow. He came in all like on fire, gonna turn all Mgtows to. He was going to turn all Mgtows into blue pill guys and get us all back dating and everything. He was going to be the dating coach and explain everything to us. And at the end, pretty much what we were saying was going to happen to Coach. And I like Coach. He's a likable fellow, if not anything. He's delusional. He's crazy. Eli is crazy, and he's delusional. And I think that was more the... I think that was more about the saturation with bacteria in his brain from being around estrogen too much, those pheromones and everything. But what he did and the way it ended, I thought was a beautiful thing for Mgtow. And the thing is, he proved us right. Everything we were saying is right now. And that's the beautiful thing. And I forget, people kind of forgot to look at that and say, you know something, with all the garbage that went on, yeah, you can get Coach Eli for $200 an hour, or you can come hear the truth from Trav for free. Because I'll sit back and talk forever some days, and it's totally 100% true. People keep trying to contact me for free life coaching. Can you believe that? Yeah. So in the end, all that when he was breaking up and that whole thing, and I felt bad for him because I know how hard breakups are when you truly are that blue pill guy and you're truly in that zone, the crazy zombie zone, and then that heartbreaking moment, or she steals from you, your wallet's gone, your credit cards are run up, she's off running around with another guy, and sunspot baby, he was going to do that sunspot baby thing where he's going to go track her down and make her understand how much his love was. And I thought that was precious. I just thought that was precious. It's like, man, just keep laying the lessons on, man. We could take little clips, and if we should do anything, take all those little clips, put them together and say, Eli taught the blue pillars that, yes, Mgtow is telling the truth 100%. And that was good of Eli to do that. I mean, he was the he was the sacrificial lamb on that one. And nobody wants to be the sacrificial lamb, but hey, my late father died 9 years ago. Sorry about that. Gay Mark has been not to blame. There's bad behavior I inherited. Yeah, the truth. If you want the truth, come here. Yeah. Yeah, but Eli was good. So a lot of things are happening now. It has been a long summer. All the children have gone back to school, and they now got their computers back blocked, and they can't go on Eli and on YouTube and say horrible things anymore because so the kids are back in school now, and at least they're leaving us alone. They're leaving the adults alone, and because I don't see as much trolling anymore. But right around this time every year, and we've been doing this for so long, we'll start picking up Mgtows, and we'll see an influx of new Mgtows, and then through the winter there'll be some new Mgtows coming in, and everybody's busy doing their schooling stuff and taking those gender studies courses so you can go into poli-sci. And I know, gender studies course. I don't think I had gender studies. I think we had sociology, and I took sociology classes, and I personally was a group dynamics person, and I believe in sociology and certain things, but gender dynamics, I really wouldn't qualify it as sociology or social movements of men, and humans and stuff like that. But I do believe that sociology is the only way to measure impacts from certain things, male suicide, to say you need a certain amount of sociology for that. And is Eli capable? Yeah, I think Eli is capable of putting on a very fine. His production value is very good and everything, and nobody ever said that Eli had bad production value. It's just his ideas were crazier than Alex Jones. I mean, then talk about delusional. But that's all great and fine and dandy and everything. So what are we talking about today? We're talking about the Me Too movement. I don't think Eli ever covered the Me Too movement. That would be something. But yeah, it's crumbling, and we get to watch it. We get to witness. We got to witness the whole horror show. I'm sure there'll be books out about it soon and everything. And lawsuits now, and a lot of things. But I do think Sean Penn is right. It's a salacious movement that's based on predatory suing and predatory what do you call that, legal terms for just predatory suing people, and just using the long arm of the law to stranglehold wealthy men. And they should be ashamed of that. But no, there is really no shame, because that's what they do kind of naturally. That's what we talk about, hypergamy and gynocentrism and all those things. And yeah, I guess they didn't get the memo on that. So but that's okay if they, just someday they will get the memo on what we're saying, I suppose. And I was kind of happy to see the New York Times kind of look up and go, this is a little, this is not good. It may not be good for America, but it may not be good for corporations. It may not be good it wasn't never good for Hollywood. I think Hollywood is, if you had, I don't know if there's such thing as having stocks in Hollywood, but it's gone down, and a lot to do with probably the movies over the internet now. I don't pay for a movie. If you're paying for a movie, you're an idiot. You can get everything free anywhere on the internet. There's hundreds of free movies, and there's no use going to a theater, unless you're taking a girl to a theater. Now the blue pill guys, and that's pretty much what they aim at too. I think I was looking the other day on and all the titles were up for all the new movies and everything, and I was trying to pick out one to watch and fall asleep to at night. And there was like someone stole a woman, someone's kidnapped a girl. There was like two strong independent girl cartoons, the new ones, and then there was like two wacky girls living together in a home. Wow, this is going to be curious. Those kind of things. And then back to another, somebody stole a girl and kidnapped her, stole her, and the hero had to go get her. And then there was so yeah, what I decided on watching was the new Mega Shark. Do you guys watch the Mega Shark? It was totally non-feminine oriented, which was good. And then I watched the new Sharknado. Sharknado, because I love the Sharknado series. How can you not? Even that's gone a little down the drain. Down the train, yeah. Gordon Ramsay insults women constantly, never gets in trouble. Gordon Ramsay, yeah. I never watched. My son likes Gordon Ramsay because my son's a chef, and so he likes all the Gordon Ramsay, and he liked the guy that just died, Anthony whatever his last name is, Around the World and everything, Strange Things to Eat. You know, he always watches those things, and but he likes to cook and that stuff. I'm a microwave or, you know, half hour. If it takes longer than a half hour, I won't eat it because I'm lazy that way. And yeah, if I took a woman to the Magnus as a theater, I would be only to leave at intermission and make her find her way home. That would be interesting. Yeah, yeah. Oh God, some of those chick flicks. There's so many of them now. Bad Moms. I seen there's a new Bad Moms out, and these are two cool and hip single mothers, and they're going to be bad moms, and they're gonna. It's like Jesus. I didn't even begin to try to watch it. Anthony Zimmerman. Yeah. So when you go to, all you have to do is go to one of those pages and look at the movies, and you're going, nope, chick flick, nope, chick flick, nope, chick flick, nope, chick. And all I want to see is like mega sharks or robot sharks, or I want to see robot dogs. I did watch the new ALS robot dog one too, and that was pretty good. It was a love story, but I had to turn it off halfway. And hello, Joe, buddy. And the movies are there. They're just flooding the social consciousness with the single baby mamas. Rise Above. You know, I was going to watch one yesterday, then I started reading the what it was about. It was a single baby mama that lost her water rights to her property. I don't even know what they called it back in the 1800s. And I don't know if they had single baby mamas back in the 1800s. I guess they did now. And the wild West was no place to want to try to, do a farm and be a single baby, because there was no welfare, there was no help for those things. And but now feminists can rewrite history and say there's all these strong independent girls were running around just farming, and they were fighting for water rights and cattle grazing rights and shit. It just gets so crazy out there. Oh, it just gets so crazy. But that's what it's about. Who can rewrite history, revisionist history? Who can rewrite? What was a great? Oh, I look at revisionist history. What book? Ireland, a Terrible Beauty. It was a revisionist history. That was the 1968 book. Doesn't quite match what it says in 2011. But yeah, governments get to revise history sometimes, and mostly, but feminists get to revise history, and they got the pole behind with the United Nations. But that's one thing I haven't. I was thinking earlier today at one point while I was reading all the garbage and reading that book, and that the UN hasn't chimed in lately on anything. And when are we going to see the UN chime in with their Go Girl movements and the whole what was that? Emma Watson at the UN. That was a horrible history. That was horrible history. If we want to cut something from history, we could go ahead and just cut Emma Watson right out of there. Her speech at the UN about lean in. Lean in was if you guys had missed it, lean in was before Me Too. That was trying to persuade men to just kind of lean in and help little girls, and this will all go away, which is a ridiculous idea. And it's like you need any more help. You got the government, you got welfare, you got anything you want, prize and gifts and everything, and still they want you to lean in. And Mgtow's like, no more of that leaning in stuff. I'm leaning out of this. I'm going away. We're moving away from that stuff. But Mgtow's been interesting lately. There's been a sort of a climate shift. I was watching Grizz, and he was going after Howard and Chris Cantu today, and there's a lot of the drama going on, and that's what I'm trying to stay out of lately. I'm trying really, 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 really hard, guys, to stay out of the Mgtow drama because it just doesn't make no sense to me. And I just want to talk about Mgtow and how it improves your life, and you start doing some testosterone and get some big arms. Yeah, get some big arms. Oh, Joe, you insulted me the other day. I heard that when you said I was slightly out of shape. Yeah, slightly out of shape for a 60-year-old guy. Yeah. Yeah. So that's what we should be talking about, how to, stay healthy, be happy. Happiness, male happiness is important. Emma is the used car prep owned wash, a zip trash dump a tea. Yeah, Emma Watson. That was a bad one. That was a horrible thing. We only had to put up with that for maybe a year or so. And Mgtows can take this. As the longer you've been in Mgtow, I mean, you can stand on your head and take this stuff and just, it's going to go, it's going to pass. This too will pass. And I think the Me Too movement, this too will pass. And that be true about that. And Joe Buddy is a fake Christian. I don't know if Joe's a fake Christian. Avoiding my gook. Are you avoiding your wife tonight, Joe? Yeah, I did a lot of that, usually at the bar. I remember being younger and married. That was quite a few years ago, almost probably coming up on 20 years ago now. And I would just come home. She would start yapping. Chip, chip, bap, 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 bap. It was like a motorboat of insults. Bap, 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 bap. And I was like, wow, can one person do that many insults at a guy that's been at work in a steel mill working hard all day? And then I'd shake my head and go to the bar. At that time, in Cleveland, at least, that the bars were within walking distance. They had these little bars on every corner. You probably remember, some of you guys probably remember when you're growing up, there used to be like corner bars that looked like houses, and we used to have those. But somehow in Ohio, they regulated against that, and they moved all the bars onto the main streets, and they put parking lots in them. And now they give out DWIs for leaving the bar in the parking lot, because you can't walk to it now in your neighborhood. I always tell my buddy that that's going to be if I do a class action lawsuit against you, that's going to be the one right there, because I used to own one of those neighborhood bars back in the day. Emma Watson, yeah, Emma Watson is just freaking funny now. I used to own a bar back in the day, probably 20 years ago or so, and a little neighborhood bar, and it's pretty much closed up. what killed me is the Browns leaving Cleveland. No more Sunday football, no more big football crowds and everything. But it was a neighborhood bar, and they pulled all the licenses from the inner city bars and everything, and they gave them to big companies, which you can now drive up to and go have a few beers on the main streets, and where they're zoned for that, and then drive home after you've been drinking. That was a great idea. I would like to. I was just like, who thought of that? Which one of those geniuses, at least in my city, in Cleveland at that time, what was the genius that thought of that? Where you have to drive to a bar. And isn't it illegal to put a parking lot inside of a place? Wouldn't you think it would be illegal to put a parking lot in a place where people are going to enjoy alcoholic beverages? And then you take them away from out of walking distance from people. Wow, that was genius. And now you can give out DWIs at $5,000 a shot. But I always thought that was going to be one of my someday I'm just going to file that lawsuit against the state of Ohio, and just say, you guys weren't thinking about this, and this was collusion, and this was collusion with big businesses, and this was horrible for our economy, horrible for the people, and horrible for neighborhoods, and that's it. So, yeah, we were talking about Metoo crumbling today. Well, you put down your consensus in the low bar down in the comment area down there if you want. Fine. Nobody's been leaving comments on whether you think Metoo is finally crumbling. Is it hinging on disaster right now? And the good part is we'll get to watch the whole horror. I can just sit back and just point and laugh. Because that'll be great. And I wanted to let you all know I cut my grass today. I finally did that after a month of bitching about it. I went out and cut half my grass. And I wanted to talk about that too. The city's been bothering me to cut my grass. So I went out today and I cut my grass. And one of those things I don't believe in. I don't think the city should. And they call it noxious grass when it gets over a certain height. And that's such a fake. It's like a fake word, like noxious grass. Really, how is it noxious? And but as soon as I got out there, the city Gestapos, I'm cutting the grass and I look up and there's the city guy and he takes a picture of me cutting the grass. It's like living in Nazi Germany in America, where the city Gestapo is taking pictures of you cutting your grass. I was like this, like come on up here. I'd like to talk to you and smell the things I wanted to do to him. I mean, I'm glad he didn't stop and say something, because I probably would have beat the hell out of him at that point. And yeah, so I live in Nazi Germany here, where the city takes pictures of you and for minor violations around your house. And next they're going to tell me I have to paint my shed. I know that. You wish you had some grass? Yeah, I got grass and I hate it. I used to be one of these like people that took care of their grass. And then there was a spring 2 years ago, I think 2 or 3 years ago, my grass used to be beautiful, and I maintained it. And the neighbors, we have grass wars, and who can have the best looking grass and everything. But it rained for like a month straight in April, and you couldn't get out there and cut the grass. And the city came around and they took pictures of everybody's grass and they sent it to your house with a warning. After like a month and a half of rain. And I thought that was a pretty shitty thing to do. So after that, I've been in a constant battle with them. And I think it's important for Mgtows I think every Mgtow should argue certain things about, your in your neighborhood, your authoritarian Nazis that run around. There's the water police and the garbage police, and then there's the grass police, and then there's the sidewalk police, and then there's the God, the road police and the actual sheriff of Nottingham giving out tickets to everybody that drives up and down my street. And I mean, you would be in my area, you would be hard pressed to drive through the city without getting a ticket. I mean, I don't drive anymore. I take Uber, and I pretty much avoid that at all costs anymore because I hate it. I hate driving, and I'd rather take a taxi or pay an Uber every morning, and I would have my buddy pick me up or something like that, because it so stresses me out. The How the state has just grabbed hold of that thing with arbitrary laws. You ever think about arbitrary laws? The arbitrary, if you go over 25 miles an hour in this zone, you might kill somebody. That's an if and a might, and because of that, we're going to give you a $220 ticket. If and might, if you go over 25 miles, you might kill somebody. I remember when I was driving, I would go up my street 35 miles an hour every morning and run the stop sign, and I never killed anybody. I was like, that's how arbitrary. I'd like to see the stats on that if and might, but them are laws, and when laws don't, it's logic. It doesn't match up. Ifs and mights, and what does Lewis Stevens say? If it was like this, it might have been, and if it was here, it could have been, but it ain't, and that's logic. That was out of Not Through the Looking Glass. That was Alice in Wonderland or something. Lewis Stevenson said that, and no, ifs and mights don't work. Hello, Whoosh Whoosh. Hey, Whoosh, how you doing today? We're just talking about the crumbling YouTube movement and all the interesting things, and finally some media. And I was watching Jessica Valente and Amanda Marcotte on Twitter today, and it was like, man, are those two girls busy? I mean, they're busy little Twitter bees, and everything was about, the New York Times article on how Metoo is just is dividing and men and women and causing so much problems, and it's pretty much nothing that's based on reality, and it's false accusation. And they pretty much said it, and we fight back. A sandwich, Joey. I like long drives on Interstate 40. I'm 70. It's 70 miles an hour. Yeah, 70 miles an hour is good. I like 70 miles an hour. I always thought back in the day when I was 55, and I had to live with that most of my life, 55, and then you went like 72 once in a while, and you're afraid to get a ticket because you don't want to pay $120 for a ticket back then. And 72 is optimal gas mileage, and 70 is pretty cool. But I see people getting tickets now for like 84, 90 miles an hour, and that was unheard of when I was younger. I couldn't get my Pinto up to 90 miles an hour if I tried. But yeah, the optimum. If you look at the charts, the optimum gas mileage is at 72 for a car. If you start going over that, it starts dropping. If you go under that, starts dropping. Peak. It's the F to G compilation, the G up on top for a peak optimum mileage. So has Metoo peaked? Is it going to come down that graph now? I think they have, and I think it's over. And I think a lot of people are waking up. I was so happy to see that thing in Big Brother, where she like casually accused him of domestic violence in the house. I can't remember that chick's name. I know the other guy's name was Thomas something Thomas, but that was so silly, and I think the whole nation just went, oh my God, is that what it looks like? And even people that didn't, even people, old people, and that don't care, people that don't care about the gender dynamic split in our nations and our prospective nations looked up at one point and said, "Oh my God, is that what it looks like? That's so awful." And yeah, that's what it looks like. That's what it looks like when a female just decides to go nuts inside of a house when you're married, or it makes a false accusation to get you removed from your property. And yeah, that's what it's like. It was exactly like that. False accusation, and that's what got me removed from my property. I can't remember. I got home from work, and it's 20 years ago, and the two policemen come, and she said, "He's aggressive." And I never got to go home again, and that's how they have you removed. Uh, so it's nothing new. Me Too is nothing new. People making false accusations, using the police as thugs, is nothing new. They've always done that, and that's why I was talking about Marte d. Arthur. Because white knights have always existed as far as back as I have read. There's always been white knighting. There's always been chivalry. There's always crazy guys that are willing to kill other men for a female's honor, and they don't even have no idea that females really pretty much don't have the mechanicism of honor. They have what's called conscious by concern. Honor is a male thing. If you guys didn't know, it's a gendered thing. Men have honor, and you can look into Nesbitt's Southern culture of violence and honor, and he'll pretty much explain it's just a male thing. He says that females obtain honor after periods of war, and then which explains the Southern dignity after that period of war in the 1850s. But yeah, it's all scientific. Now they'll probably take me down from YouTube for saying scientific stuff, and I can put it up in the low bar if they need it. If they need that accreditation, it's for saying that no, women don't have honor; they have conscience by concern. That's one of the things that always bothered me when guys say, "Hey, man, she had no honor when she did that shit." And I said, "Yeah, she didn't have no honor. She never did." She never did. What made you believe? What made you believe, young man, that she did? White knighting, chivalry, books you read, Hollywood movies, romanticism, the Victorian age. Yeah, yeah, all those lies that we get told as men. But that's a pretty good reason why you should start reading. And I always say read Don Quixote, and then read because he's crazy. He's the crazy white knight that's going to fight a windmill, and then the Marte the Arthur is written in 1485, and that's King Arthur. There's 540 stories, or 500 stories, short stories. But no, you don't have to read it all. For short chapters on and that, and he goes into pretty much detail on how that there's nothing new under the sun. There really isn't. And Me Too, and that was back then. They just had a special way of doing it. And I mean, look at King Arthur. Guinevere was a tramp. She tramped off. She ran off on him. Tristan and Isolde, I think that's what it's called. The fifth book was about a cheating woman. The end of the first book was about all the women in help, and the insignificant characters, and it was all about female behavior. And so we see it with Me Too. We see it back then. We've seen it with the naked girl, which I can't remember her name, riding her horse through the town in France. That kicked off. We see it with Mary Shelley's Mary. I mean, it's all based on the ideas of romanticism, and chivalry and fake characters, and it's not real, and nor is Me Too. But the stories that come out, and the way we will remember it, and someone will write it down, I suppose, eventually, and they'll make it out like there was this big rape epidemic, and which is just funny. It was just, just people started catching the rape, and the men just couldn't control themselves, and they were just out raping all over the cities and everything, and they just couldn't control themselves. Must have been a virus they caught, and it's just, man, it was worse than the Black Death. it, it was worse than herpes, and yeah, just rapey. Everybody went rapey but it's based on lies and false accusations and just weirdity. You know what else I tried to watch the other day? I was thinking about, and if you guys ever, you just watch it, and if you could steal it, I suggest steal it. The Slender Man movie. Did anybody watch the Slender Man movie? And the whole movie is pretty much based on female insecurities, female insecurities, and just endlessly running and falling away from this invisible slender man, and that was just horrible. That's all I can think is this. Every scene was, there was no actual Slender Man for the first at least 40 minutes of the movie, and just running and screaming away from this perceived horror. And that's the same thing as Me Too, and that's the same thing as the college rape epidemic. They're just running and screaming away from this perceived horror that they're making up in their minds. And that's all I could. Me Too is crumbling. Happy Life. Hello, Happy Life. Hello, everybody that came in. Just Hermit, Magnus, all you guys. Hello. And so I'm just rambling on. Got some things to do tomorrow, and I'm in deep thought about that. And the Me Too movement is just like, knew that was going to happen because it's got no structure. They always complain about the male institutions that provide structure to our communities, and then when something without structure falls apart, it's our fault too. It was our fault that we have a structured authoritarian system of patriarchy. Now it's our fault because their non-structured systems are falling apart. But that's the Roundtable thing. Nobody's better than anybody else. Everybody's equal at the Roundtable. Every work meeting that I've ever had didn't resemble that. I gotta tell you, it was the boss, the owner of the company, and us guys talking about what we're going to do and how much money we need to do it. And there was an authoritarian structure. Thanks. Anybody worried about being Me Too, just hide their wealth. They'll leave it alone. Yeah, just pretend like you're poor. Like me. That's what I always say when I walk out with my Carhartts and my t-shirts, my old ripped up t-shirts. This one's not too bad. This one's pretty good, actually. But my painting t-shirt I wear like at least twice a week. I got this old brown, and I have a Carhartt jacket, and I got an old hat or something I put on my head, and I look like a total bum. I got boots on and shit. Those big rubber boots, and I just look like, no, he's not worthy of. If you want to just wear a Carhartt jacket and an old ripped up t-shirt, and no one will accuse you of anything, because there's no money to be had, and that's the point. If you're poor, you won't get accused, or if you're a man above reproach, and I always preach, be a man above reproach. Me and my son were talking about this the other day, and his shenanigans with women's and everything, and I said, if someone accused me of them sort of shenanigans, And he just started laughing, and he just started laughing, knowing me. He just started laughing. He goes, yeah, like that would happen because I'm above reproach. I don't do those things. I don't bring them things into my house. I don't put myself in those positions. Now, you can say that if you're a monk, and you can be above reproach, and you can that gives you the leverage too. Harvey Weinstein's problem is he had no leverage because he was exactly what he was saying he was. Hey, if you're a simp, if you're a white knight, if you're a beggar, a pea beggar, if you're one of those cackling hyenas out there that are PUAing it up the puas, and you get accused of that stuff. Who did it to who? You did it to yourself, knowing that's the way they act. And it's like I said, there's nothing new underneath the sun. I mean, they've been doing that forever. Me Too isn't nothing new. It just got a new fancy label. I mean, that's 20 years ago. That's how they got me out of my house, through false accusation. And I wasn't the only guy. Geez, there's lots of guys I know that had to go through the same thing 20, 30, 40 years ago. And, so it just comes in different waves and different ideas and different labels, I suppose. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, don't worry about it. Wish I'm as poor as pork can be, too. I don't know if I'm poor as pork can be. I'm just kind of minimalistically, I don't care no more. I don't care. If I lose everything, I'll just get in my van and drive south. I'll be just as happy. And that's one thing I've realized about life, whatever position I was ever in. And I can look back at my life, and wherever I was at, if I had a pillow to lay my head on, or if I was sleeping in a van or sleeping in a mansion, I always felt the same. Nothing ever really changes about the way I felt about that. And it's better to be minimalistic and nothing changes and nothing feels different, and you're happy with yourself, than rather buying into the delusional hidden room upstairs where there's wealth, and you'll be invited into the millionaires club, the billionaires club. You're not. They're not going to invite you in. I tried. I tried forcing my way in too, and that didn't work. It just never works. Yeah, just be happy with what you are, I guess. And that's the Mgtow message, pretty much. Just be happy with who you are and the way you were born and the way you look, and don't let anybody else screw with that or tell you got to be something you don't really have to be. I think that's the best part about Mgtow. Just getting comfortable with what you are in life, and who you are. And then you can sit back on a Mgtow bench and just kind of point and laugh at everybody acting all foolish. All the foolish people out there, the blue pill people, doing foolish things. And I see a lot of foolish things in my life. Too many foolish things. Just lately, I've seen foolishness all summer long. There's young man. I know one young man doing foolishness after a young man, and the common denominator in all those foolish acts was I did it for a female. I was upset about a female. I got drunk because of a female. And I was like, yeah. What have I been saying? What have I been saying? Yeah. Every time you see a male blue pill guy doing something stupid, just keep asking questions until you get it. And then sooner or later, the common denominator will be, I was doing it for a woman. And nah, that's like, every time I hear it, every time I get to that point in the story, whether it be just having a beer across a bar, or listening to a buddy on my front porch telling me his new horror stories. And when I get to that point, I just always go like this, like, oh, yeah, I knew the end of that story already. I knew the end of it already. That's what that Mgtow thing was about. That I told you guys I was. And because I know the end of that story, I know the horror at the end of that story, but they want to keep trying. And today's society is probably 10 times worse than when I grew up. At least you had a slight chance of making it back then, even though we got we got the rug pulled out from under us with the 1972 Divorce Acts under the EPA, the ERA, not the EPA, the ERA. And yeah, it's like, yeah, didn't see that one coming. That's what I always say. Every time somebody asks me about my divorce, I was like, didn't see that coming. Because I really didn't. And now I think it's so stupid. I laugh at myself and just, you're so stupid, Joe. Why'd you do that? I get angry sometimes seeing how weak blue pill men allow their women to walk all over. Me too. It's just, I mean, when you sit back, that's what the Mgtow bench is about. When you sit back and you're just kind of grooving and doing your own thing in life, and you're just sitting on the Mgtow bench and you're just looking at all the blue pill guys and they're doing silly stuff. I used to live in an apartment center, and it was one of those horseshoe type apartment centers with the pool in the middle, and you could see what everybody else was doing. And on Friday and Saturday night, me and my buddy used to sit on the steps and we'd crack a few, and we just wait. And sooner or later, there was going to be some guy beating on a door. Boom, boom, let me in, baby. And she's like, no, go away. And then the police will show up. And it was like guaranteed to happen. It was guaranteed entertainment every Friday night, 2 times at least. And it was horrible. And I felt so bad for the guys because they were simping so hard. I mean, I watched this guy in front of an apartment center just get down on his knees, be like, let me in, baby. The door was like cracked with a chain on it. And he was like, come on, baby, let me in. And then the police showed up. And then he had to spend the night in jail. It's like, yeah. I wanted to yell out, I could have told you that was going to happen. So, because I've seen that a million times before. I seen this one boy simping so hard he was crying. It was just like, oh, that was horrible. And me and my buddy, we're both cringing. We're watching this like, oh, he's going to do it. He's getting down on his knees and begging. It was hard to watch. It made me, I start gagging a little. But that's life, and that happens. And you got to watch it. The Mgtow bench is like, it's like a horror movie with breaks. Just, oh, here comes a couple more. They're going to do something stupid. And that's about it. That's all I wanted to talk about today, guys. I wanted to talk about, I'm getting this sense that the Me Too movement is under a lot of duress now. And that's good. It's going to be good to watch that. Sit back, get yourself some popcorn, enjoy the horror. And that's all I can say is just laugh and point anymore. And try not to let all the drama get to you. And, most of all, just be happy and be that guy that no one would ever accuse of any of those, because they know it would just be too funny. It'd be like, you accuse him, that's just funny. It's like you accuse Trav of doing something like that. No, I don't do those things. My son would say no. That would just be, I would just laugh. I would just laugh at him. And that's all I wanted to talk about today. Get on and say hello to everybody. I've been kind of stagnated in my Mgtow because it's the end of the summer and I'm trying to just drain every bit of summer that I can and enjoyment out of that. And it's because soon it's going to be really miserable and it's going to be cold and I'm going to have to turn on my heater and it's going to suck. And it's going to cost me like a lot more money to survive. But while we have summer, I'm enjoying it. And that's about it. All I can do is just try to be happy in life. And I'm going to start a regimen of working out again this month. I stopped for a little bit. My shoulders were aching and the aspartic acid that I take was kind of making me depressed a little bit. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to stop for about a month and then restart. And, but I'm going to do that pretty much this week. I have plans to do that, restart a program. My son says he's going to buy a workout package and we have to go work out twice a week. I'm game. I'm into it. I'm going to be pumped. I don't know why I do it. I don't do it for girls. I don't do it. I just do it for myself. And that's good enough now. You can do those things for yourself nowadays and just be happy, just be happy. And that's it. That's all I got to say today. Oh, thanks, Whoosh. Yeah, I've been real sporadic and untimely because I've been just not with it lately. And with that, I think I'm going to close this down. And what's really important in life, what's really important around here? You guys, each and every one of you guys. I'll say it every single time. Every single Mgtow that comes through, you make a difference. And sooner or later, we'll push this thing through and boys won't be simping and white knights will go away and there'll be no cuckery. And then it'll be a beautiful single world to live in, and there'll be no marriage and no more cucks and no more white knighting and no more cackling hyenas. And I don't think we'll get rid of the PUAs and the cackling hyenas because that's the way men are sometimes. But keep going with this Mgtow thing, and it's up to each and every single one of you guys. And I'm just so happy that you're around because otherwise I would have nowhere to go to know that there's other men in this world that think like I do. And with that, I just want to thank each and every one of yous for being Mgtows. You guys take care. Have a great night.